Good morning everybody and welcome to Golf Drills for the Lounge. Sorry I haven't been around for the last couple of days, but I've had a huge amount of new spring stock flooding into the shop this week. I've got all my Callaway new fitting products down here in the swing studio, lots of Galvin Green waterproof, so I've been busy checking all that in. But I'm back today and I had a request from member Bill Wormold to talk to you about ball position today. But I've got a drill here which is going to incorporate all sorts of things that you can practice to get your setup really accurate. And at the end of the day, if you're going to get the correct setup on the first tee, you've got to be comfortable with it. And the great training you can do in the lounge at home is to get comfortable with correct positions, and then you'll find it much easier to settle into that position on the first tee. So the first thing before we talk about ball position is we need to talk about width of stance. Now this is partly a feel thing, because if you are too wide, you will struggle to get turned through onto your left foot on the way through. It'll be hard for your right leg to come into your left, and you'll tend to hang back and struggle to get the ball then turf contact. So you want the stance to be narrow enough that you can really allow your right knee to touch your left knee at the end of the follow through to allow those legs to clear and turn through. But if you're too narrow, it can cause too much hip rotation and twist in the backswing, causing maybe loss of balance and inconsistency. So you need it to be wide enough that you feel that your legs can offer some resistance in the backswing so that you feel tightly coiled and compact. My feet tend to end up approximately 2 feet apart if you measure them from the outside, but then if you measure them from the insteps, they're about 16 inches apart. So you split that in half. That means from the dead centre of my stance to my left instep is approximately 8 inches. A golf ball's 1.68 inches wide, so that means I've got about 5 golf ball widths from the centre of my stance to my left instep. So you could put that probably into 5 categories. You could put the driver on just inside the left instep, the fairway woods a ball inside that, the medium to long irons and hybrids as the centre ball, the short iron, sort of 7 to 9 iron as the ball, the 4th ball, and then your wedges and sand irons as the 5th ball in the dead centre. So there are your 5 approximate ball positions. If you think of them in terms of those 5 groups of clubs and 5 ball widths from your centre to your left instep. So you can notice with the balls down on the ground here that they're staggered away from me, because obviously as the clubs get longer, you are having to go further and further away. So another great drill you could do, as well as laying it out like this to practice your correct ball positions, is you could also practice your correct distance from the ball, which is checking your correct balance and your correct posture that we worked on way back a few weeks ago with the wobble pads. So you could take your normal setup position on the wobble pads, bend over from the hips with your nice straight back until the club hits the ground in a comfortable position with your driver, and you could place the ball that distance away from you. And you're using the wobble pads to get perfect balance, which then will help you with good posture to get perfect distance away from the golf ball. You could then do the same with your 3-wood, same with your long irons and hybrids into here, and then the same right down all the way down to your wedges, and you'll end up with the 5 balls in the 5 positions, not only this way in relation to your feet, but also distance away from you here. So you're really going to get used to making sure you are the correct distance from the ball with every club in the bag. If I see any error, it's normally that people don't make a big enough adjustment with their 3-wood and driver. So the irons are only ½ an inch difference in length as you go up through the irons, but then you suddenly have a jump up of a good few inches from your longest iron or hybrid up into your fairway and then your driver. So there's you'll see that there might only be the odd inch or 2 gap as you go from wedge to mid iron, and then you'll suddenly see a jump of a few inches further away. And most people, if they've got a fault, will stand too close to the ball with their driver because they haven't made enough of that adjustment. So get onto your wobble pads, practice your posture, really feel the balance through the centre of your feet by keeping your feet flat to the ground. If you've done your hamstring stretches, you'll have lovely body angles, you'll have a nice straight back. You can have balls laid out from the dead centre to the left instep, 5 balls apart. And then the last thing to make sure is we've also talked a lot in this series about the spine angle this way and making sure that you don't bend towards the ball. So what you can also practice is when you do this, always bend towards the dead centre of your stance, and then you'll notice that you have to move the club head further forward with the driver without twisting towards the ball. But obviously you do with the sand iron, which is in the dead centre anyway. So you just get used to being further behind the ball with the longer clubs as that ball position moves forward, but your spine angle doesn't change in this position here. So have some fun with this drill. It'd be really interesting for you to, if you do it carefully, to see if it makes your setup position feel different to what it normally would. If it does, you need to do lots of practice so that you can slot straight into this position on the tee and feel comfortable with it. So it's a great drill. Enjoy that, and I'll see you tomorrow.